In this video, we are looking at Solar's Mark II version of their famous Quick-Up Shelter, along with a new addition to the family, the Mark II Quick-Up Overwrap. Okay, so I've put the extended wrap to the side because we are going to concentrate on the shelter first. And one of the first things you'll notice is it's got a very small pack down size. So this is actually 109 centimeters by 23 by 23. So whether that's in your car or on the barrow, it's not going to take up much room at all. And the weight of the whole kit is just over 13 kilos. Obviously, you can strip that back by taking bits out if you don't want certain bits, but the overall weight of everything is about 13 kilos, just over. Now, the first thing I noticed when I pulled this out of the box is the bag is actually of a very high quality, and you've got straps that come around it to tighten everything down. So you haven't got to worry about annoying clips and then trying to pull them tight. They literally just loop on with this little metal loop. So once you've got everything back in the bag, you can pull it really tight and then get it as small as possible. But I've not actually opened this myself yet, so I'm going to open it up, see what's inside, and then we'll get the shelter up and have a look at it like that. So you've got obviously your instructions, but something that has come with this new version is a heavy duty ground sheet. So let's just pull that out. That's quite nice actually. So you've got a Velcro strap rather than, again, just a little bit of string keeping it all together. So if you're one of them people that puts everything back exactly how it comes out, then that makes life a lot easier by having that. But open that up. So there is your heavy duty ground sheet. Now it looks like it velcros in place. We'll find out a little bit more later in the video on that one. But then you've got your little poles for the porch over the doors. So that will just extend out like that. You've got a bag of pegs. You've got, I'm assuming, the front, or nope, this isn't the front, this is the twin skin peak. So again, we'll come on to that later in the video. You've then got the shelter itself, and that's about it because everything is already attached. There's a couple of doors, you've got front and back door. Because of the shape of the shelter, you can have it that way. You've got meshes and all sorts, so all of that we'll come on to. But now let's get it set up so you can actually see it in place. You can have a look at the size of it, what you can fit inside, and what you think of it. Right, well, with this being called a Quick-Up Shelter, I'd like to think it's pretty quick to set up, and I'm sure you guys want to see how quick it is as well. So I've never actually set one of these up. I haven't set up the Mark I either, so I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I think it's a case of opening everything out to give you a square, opening the legs out again to give you a bigger square, and then just clicking the legs into place. I think each one of the corners has got like a little yellow toggle thing that once you extend it enough, it then clicks and holds place. Obviously, after that, you can add on the extra bits. You can add on the porch bit, you can add on the twin skin, and peg everything in place so it's exactly how it needs to be. But for now, I'm going to try and get just the general shape of the bivvy. So let's give this a go. So that's all the legs extended into square. Extend them once more to make it a bigger square. And then you pretty much bend these back, I believe. And so, yeah, bend them back and then click them into place. All right, so that's the first one. Second. Third. And fourth. Yeah, that's not actually too bad. So as you can see, once you've clipped everything in, it will give you a much better shape. But to get the shelter actually up and sheltering, I guess, it's really not too bad. So I'm going to peg everything in place. I'll get everything looking how it should do, and then we'll have a look at a little bit more about the shelter and all the features that it offers. So when you've set up the shelter properly, you've got it all pegged in place, you've got the twin skin on top, it should look a little bit like this. And it transforms that really small pack down size into this, which is 2.5 meters square by 1.7 meters high. So considering it came from a tiny 109 centimeters wide, it ends up a very good sized shelter. Now, the actual material this is made from is Solar's famous Solartex material. So you know it's going to be a hardware material, and that's the same for everything, not just the main shelter itself, but for this twin skin as well. You'll see there is now a peak on the front, so this is going to stop any wind coming in. But the main thing to point out is there's multiple door options, like you could expect in most bivvies. But with this one, you've basically got an option here where you can unzip a portion of the door, which then reveals mozzie mesh. But if you want a bit more airflow, then you can unzip the whole front, or you've also got the option, if you want to, that you can do a bit of a letterbox setup where you can unzip halfway and then have it that way. So that, in conjunction with the peak, means that no water's going to get in if it is raining, and you've still got obviously a nice amount of airflow. Another way you're getting a lot of airflow is to do with this twin skin system. So the idea of this is there is a huge amount of space above the shelter but below this twin skin, and at the very top of the shelter where the mechanism is, which has been completely redesigned, but we'll come onto that a little bit more when we're talking about the overwrap, is there's actually loads of mesh vents in here. So this works in a couple of different ways. Obviously, by having the mesh vents and having this over it, there's no water getting in. So it's as good as having like a little window, so you can get the airflow in that way. Again, if you've got the door open or partially open or however, and then you've got that, you're getting a good amount of airflow cycling through. But then that also takes us onto the rear door as well, because you've got a front and rear door, which you can open fully at the rear as well. So then you're getting the air coming all the way through and from the top as well. Now, if it's a day like today and it's an absolute scorcher, then you don't even need this twin skin bit on, but it does help with condensation, and it's a handy little addition to have. And then by having the peak as well, it gives you that little bit more protection if the weather does take a turn, you get a bit of rain, or if you just want that slightly extended kind of shaded area, if you want the door completely off, then it does really help out, because otherwise you're sloping back quite a bit, so the sun's coming right into the actual shelter. So by having this peak on, it really does help. So moving on to the inside, there is plenty of room in here, and these are the back doors I was saying about, where they are, yeah, you can open the whole back up. So if it's a hot summer's day like today, it really does come into its own. You'll see you've got a mozzie mesh panel here alongside the main panel as well. So even if you didn't want it completely open, you can use just the mozzie mesh and then just strip back the main panel. So it's still going to give you that airflow, but you still feel that little bit more secure inside. Now, you've also got these little stash pockets, which are really handy. I don't know why bivvies and shelters don't come with these as standard, because you always need to put your phone, your keys, your wallet, things like that somewhere. So having them at the back is nice and handy. Obviously you can have your bed chair along the back, and then that means that they're over the other side of you, so you can keep valuables in here. It's going to be that little bit safer than just having them, say, on a bucket in front of your bed chair. But that's on both sides of the mozzie mesh as well. And then you'll see that I've actually put the ground sheet in on this one as well, because it is the heavy duty ground sheet. And to be fair, it's gone in really easily because of the square shape of this shelter. It means ground sheets are a lot easier to put in, rather than trying to get the shape right on awkward shaped bivvies and things like that. I don't normally use ground sheets, but as this is a heavy duty one and it's a ripstop ground sheet as well, you know it's going to be hard wearing if you're fishing really hard gravelly swims. Now, the last thing to mention on the inside is going to be the vent above us. Now, I know I've talked about this previously and I've said that it helps to create a lot of airflow, which is really beneficial, but if you don't want to use it as a vent, then you don't have to. So they've created a little flap of material that simply zips in place. So if you don't want to use it, zip it up. If you want to use it, unzip it, and then you've got toggles one end, so you can roll it back as if it was a door panel or something like that. It gives you that option. So if you want more airflow, use it. If you don't, then you don't have to. So in case the shelter's not big enough as it is, we've now got the overwrap, and this can actually be used on both the Mark 1 Quick-Up Shelter and the Mark 2. So let's get it all out. But like I said, the block on the Mark II has been completely redesigned, so the attachments are all in place for this overwrap. But if you do have a Mark I, then you don't have to worry, you don't have to buy anything extra other than the overwrap itself, because this overwrap actually comes with the new block. So So it means a little bit of DIY, changing the block over or adding the attachment. But inside here somewhere, there should be the new block. I can just feel it in here. So here we go, this is the attachment. So it's just a case of screwing this attachment into your existing Quick-Up Shelter. And then if you want to use the overwrap, then you can do. But what do you get in here? Obviously you get a load of pegs. You've got your support for adding the extra length to it. And then you've got the overwrap itself. So let's chuck this on quickly, and then I'll show you how much space it gives you, how much extra space you've got by using this overwrap. Okay, so if you've got a Mark 1, you'll notice that this block looks a little bit different. And you'll see that the little hole at the end is how the overwrap actually attaches. If you're going to be adapting your Mark 1, then it's simply a case of just screwing in this extra little piece. So you've got 2 screws at the top, 2 at the bottom, and then that is your hole for where your main brace bar is going to go for the overwrap. So it's simply a case of just slotting it into that, and you're ready to go. So with the overwrap now in place, I think we can all agree that this becomes a massive bit of kit. Whether you're wanting more room yourself to do longer sessions, or you just like having a bit of space, or you're thinking of fishing with a mate for a long trip or something like that, then this definitely has its use. You can easily fit 2 bed chairs in here side by side now. The actual width of the shelter doesn't become any wider, it doesn't become any taller, but from front to back you gain 1.2 meters. There's now 3.7 meters in length, so there is plenty of room. And it wasn't actually too bad to set up. A lot of overwraps are an absolute ball ache to try and get in place, but this wasn't. You basically remove the twin skin, which is the bit obviously that covers the vent at the top. Remove that, and then the clipping points at the back, you actually use the same points for the overwrap. So it's a case of clipping the 2 in at the back and then working your way forward. You then use the same pegging points, which would be the front of the shelter, to peg the sides in, and then obviously you've got that extended bit at the front. So you've got the brace bar which goes into the new designed block, and then you can just stretch that out to get it nice and tight. And that's it really, simple as that. Took about 5 minutes to add it on, but if you're doing a long session or you're wanting that bit more space, then it's well worth that time. So yeah, this is clearly a phenomenal bit of kit, and if you're looking for a big bivvy or something that goes up nice and quickly, definitely worth checking out. Now in terms of prices, the overwrap comes in at $224.99, and then the shelter itself is $409.99. Now these are both suggested selling prices, so if you shop around you might find them a little bit cheaper, but that's the prices that are stated on the Solar website. What do you think? Do you need something like this? Does it have a place in your angling? Let us know in the comments. But for now, thanks for watching this video. Hope you've liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.